Right-wing influencers respond to Mamdani winning, and Bernie Sanders writes an op-ed. It's a war, even though it's not over yet. Okay. Look, a primary took place. Cuomo got defeated, and I think this is a huge, huge historic event in which we have witnessed, a name that we know, Cuomo, get defeated by somebody who is who has a huge political momentum right behind him. Now, I do hope that perhaps maybe Mamdani can be something different, but I've seen this show before. I've seen this movie before. And you know what? I'm not a fan of the remakes, and I don't like Disney remakes either because I think they're all crap. Right-wing influencers have reacted to New York State Assembly member Zohran Mamdani's apparent win in New York City's Democrat memorial primary with anti-Islam attacks. So, Laura Loomer says this. Mamdani hasn't even been a U.S. citizen for 10 years. He's literally supported by terrorists. New York City is about to see 9/11 2.0. Jesus Christ, Laura, get a hold of yourself. All right, Mamdani, a Democrat socialist, shocked American political observers Tuesday as he seemed to be on the path to winning the Democrat nomination for the Big Apple's mayor over former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. He immigrated to the U.S. from Uganda as a child and has spent most of his life in the nation's biggest city. If he clinches New York City's top job, he would be the first Muslim and Asian mayor. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always, sorry about that, it always seems impossible, excuse me, until it's done. My friends, it is done, and you are the ones who did it. I am honored to be your Democrat nominee for the mayor of New York City, Mamdani said on an X post early Wednesday. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk said in his own post on X that 24 years ago, a group of Muslims killed 2,753 people on 9/11. I saw Jimmy Dore comment on this, okay? And I saw a lot of other people comment on this too, especially a lot of people from New York City. The people voted. This is who they wanted for ranked choice voting in the New York primary. Now, it is really unfair and incorrect to judge somebody before they've actually done anything. And I think it's also unfair to, assume that somebody who won a huge historic win over Cuomo, I think a lot of people need to be talking about just how much of a failure Cuomo was. All right. Cuomo, as governor, has the scandal of what happened to those senior citizens who died because of his COVID handling. Cuomo, accused of accusations of assault by numerous women. Cuomo, corruption charges, everything else. I mean, come on. This is a huge win for New York City. And you know what? I was worried because early polling data was showing Cuomo having this in the bag. You have people like MTG, you know me, saying, who posted a picture of a figure wearing clothing similar to the attire of some Muslim women wear in a place of the Statue of Liberty. Also, in response, old enough to remember when New Yorkers endured 9/11 instead of voting for it, Donald Trump Jr. said Wednesday that New York City has fallen. How has it fallen? Of course, MTG's fellow Southern Republican Nancy Mace posted a photo of Mamdani seeming to greet someone. After 9/11, we said never forget. I think we sadly have forgotten. What have we forgotten here? What have we forgotten here? What have we forgotten? All right, I think this is an absolute knee-jerk reaction. And before anyone thinks that Mamdani is going to bring in a socialist utopia, remember, he's part of the Democrat Party. All right? Just like anybody else. All right, we've seen the story with AOC and the squad. Don't give up your hopes. Everyone, I understand people should be happy that Mamdani beat Cuomo, but he's still part of the Democrat Party. And I have seen progressive heavyweight champions fail and lose, fail and let people down. I mean, that's it. But maybe they're upset more of stuff like this, where Mamdani's calling out Trump.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day. Where hard work is repaid with a stable life. Where 8 hours on the factory floor or behind the wheel of a cab is enough to pay the mortgage. It is enough to keep the lights on. It is enough to send your kid to school. Where rent-stabilized apartments are actually stabilized. Where buses are fast and free. Where childcare doesn't cost more than CUNY. And where public safety keeps us truly safe. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
Now, I will say this. Dr. Nick on Kick says, it's not knee-jerk. Nancy is trafficking in racist tropes. Also, did Mamdani participate, so why even bring that argument up? And, tell me who you hang with, and I'll tell you who you are. DSA, AOC, Stephen Colbert, Chucky Boy Schumer. I know who you are. I don't need any more. Exactly it. Look, listen. JB said it. I'll say it too. I want to be wrong, okay? But I've seen this story before, and as somebody who's seen Mayor Brandon Johnson, Mayor Brandon Johnson, who has failed with any kind of promise whatsoever. I mean, yes, that's the truth of it, folks. That's the real truth of it. I mean, he's not going to. Brandon Johnson, mediocre. Mamdani, mediocre. But of course, there's people saying that this is a Tea Party moment for Democrats.
This quote, I think that the Democratic leadership is way out of touch. Is this a kind of Tea Party moment for Democrats?
I don't know if I'd say that. I think you have to be careful how much we draw from this because, first of all, it was a primary. Mm-hmm. But second of all, I think what's interesting is two things. One, actually, Bernie Sanders changed the electorate in New York City with his own campaign. So it's not surprising that that would have helped Mamdani. What I think is interesting is how Mamdani won and how Cuomo lost.
How do you analyze it?
So a couple of things. Number one, as former Governor Patterson said, Cuomo didn't really get out and talk to people. He did a lot of closed door meetings and touted a lot, put a lot of money on television. Hasn't lived in the city for 20 years. And I think there was a sense of you can't just walk in here and assume we're going to take our votes. Mamdani, I mean, they had thousands of volunteers knocking on good old fashioned campaigning, knocking on doors, talking to people. He seemed very willing to go all over the city and talk to people and take tough questions on. And I mean, that to me, I hope my party is paying attention to the fact that part of what he did was to put together a broad base.
Now, there was a lot of talk that Mamdani wasn't doing enough, but I mean, listen, interaction with people, speaking with people, sitting down, talking with people face to face. I mean, that will work wonders for your campaign. It will do wonders for you. And if you're able to speak with people, I mean, it does change things up a lot. And so I think it's necessary.
Multiracial, age coalition. He won an area called Oakland Gardens, which is in Queens. Trump actually won it in 2024. At least Selden won it in 2022. He flipped. So, I mean, it was interesting to see how he won.
Sure.
And it's, again, the other thing, what was he talking about? Cost. The number one thing, and we're seeing this nationally, people are still frustrated and anxious about costs. Cost of childcare, cost of transportation, cost of food,
right,
cost of housing. So, I mean, that I hope is the blaring red light that everybody focuses on, that people are anxious about the economy.
Who was focused, and that's President Trump, Brad, because this might not speak to the whole nation. However, President Trump is looking at this, and he said he wasted no time attacking Mamdani, posted this on Truth Social, saying Mamdani, quote, is 100% communist lunatic.
I want to go that far. All right. Let's see what he does. Of course, Bernie decided to weigh in. Will Democrats learn from Zohran Mamdani's victory? I don't know. Maybe if you actually taught us how to fight, Bernie. Maybe instead of being a sinking ship, you could have been a fighter in your own right. So, Democratic Party is at a crossroads. You don't say, really. It can continue to push policies that maintain a broken rig economic political system and ignore the pain of the 60% of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck. Oh, my goodness. I've heard you say this so many times, Bernie. You nutless wonder, you cuck. But yet you went to bat for Hillary and Biden. It could turn its back on the dreams of a younger generation, which, if we don't change the system, will likely be worse off than their parents. It can continue to depend on billionaire donors and out-of-touch campaign consultants and spend huge amounts of money on dumb 30-second ads that fewer and fewer people respond to. It can't ignore the tragic reality that tens of millions of Americans are giving up on democracy because they don't see their government understanding their struggles and the realities of their their lives or doing anything about it. Or it can learn the lesson that the Zohran Mamdani campaign taught us on Tuesday, and that is have the courage to address the real economic and moral issues that face the majority of our people, take on greed and power of the oligarchy, and fight for an agenda that can improve life for working families. Some may claim that Mamdani's victory was just about the style and the fact that he was a charismatic candidate. Yes, he is. But you don't get a Mamdani victory without the extraordinary grassroots movement that rallied around him. And you don't get that movement and thousands of enthusiastic people knocking on doors without an economic agenda that speaks to the needs of working people. The people of New York and all Americans understand that. In the richest country on earth, they should not have to struggle every day just to put food on the table, pay their rent, or pay their medical bills. These are the people the Democratic consultants don't know exist. So he's saying like all the demands, everything about this all. So the lesson of Mamdani's campaign is that it is not good enough just to be critical of Trump and destructive policies. We have to bring forth a positive version and analysis of why things are the way they are. It is not good enough to maintain the status quo that is failing most Americans at a time when hope is increasingly short supply. People must have the sense that if we work together, if we have the courage to take on powerful special interests, we create a better world, a world of economic, social, and racial environmental justice. Well, Bernie, yes, I agree with these words that you have said. I do. Truly, I do. The problem is you're part of the Democrat Party. You're part of a political party that doesn't fight back. You're part of a political party that is just fine with taking the same corporate donations that the Republican Party gets. And I've seen this before where you have this progressive champion come into office and then they fail you. They let you down. I have seen this movie before. It's been played over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm supposed to sit here and not acknowledge it, or not acknowledge the times when you yourself, Bernie, in 2016 and 2020, bent the knee to Hillary Clinton and to Joe Biden, your good friend Joe Biden, who never followed through with any of his promises to help uplift or promote your progressive policies, instead dismissed them. And then you, right off the bat in 2024, went to go ahead and endorse your good friend Joe Biden, whose brain wasn't even there anymore. Now, Mamdani winning, yes, that's great. I'm glad that he won. I'm glad he defeated Cuomo. Now comes the general election, and Cuomo and Eric Adams are going to be running as independent third-party candidates, and I'm willing to bet that their path to getting on the ballot is going to be far more easier than, let's say, somebody like Jose Vega or anyone else in independent media who's running as an independent third-party candidate in New York State. I'm pretty sure Larry Sharpe and Jose Vega have a lot to say about their time running for New York offices, running as third parties or independents. We got to see what he's going to do. Just how much further is Mamdani going to state things? Because New York City being a major metropolitan city, I hope Mamdani is successful should he win. Now's the time. All eyes are on him. But remember, this is a primary victory. Now comes the general election. So everyone keep an eye on what's happening in New York City. I'm pretty sure Dissidents, Larry Sharpe, and Jose Vega are going to have some words to say about it. And we here at Heartlands Media will talk about it. But look, as somebody who has a mayor who claimed to be a progressive, I hope Mamdani could be the real deal. And if not, just remember, the reason why he's not is because he's in the Democrat Party.